Welcome back to Winning Flag Football. I'm your host, Coch Art. Well, this is bittersweet for me, but today might be my last episode. I started this podcast back in 2011, I believe, maybe 2012, but it was a long time ago. And it was actually a proof of concept for my employer at the time. I have a background in learning and development, and I wanted to prove that microlearning, which was 3 to 5 minute online, bite-sized learning, was a viable product that we could market to our customers. And so I started Winning Flag Football specifically to showcase that capability. And I like to think that over time, we got better at it. I listened back at those first episodes and they have really good information, but the production quality is not quite what you would want. And my voice doesn't sound quite right, but I really like the conversational tone that we have now. And just having more experience and more exposure to different types of media has created, I think, a pretty good product that stands up to the test of time. But I think this might be my last one, and here's why. I started coaching football when I was 19 years old. I was a freshman in college, and I got the opportunity to go back to my high school and coach JV football for 2 years. My first year, I was a quarterbacks coach, and it was a very surreal moment because they said, yeah, sure, you can come, you can coach, but they didn't tell me what I could coach. And I knew a lot about football. Certainly, I know more now, but back then I thought I knew a lot. And my favorite position was quarterback. Well, it just so happened that all of the other positions had a dedicated position coach, except for the quarterbacks. So I moseyed on over to the 11 or 12 young men who were tossing the football around, trying to sort of get the coach's attention and make that final 3 that they ended up keeping. And I started helping them throw the ball better. And from there was asked, which of these do you see has some talent, and was able to actually contribute to the success of that team. We didn't win a lot my first year, but my second year we won district. And it was thrilling, I pivoted to flag football pretty quickly after that. It might have been 5 years later that I got the opportunity to coach flag football. And I did that for about 8 years. But I look back on my life and I was a young man. I'm now 50 at the time of this recording. And it has been quite a long time since I have coached a team. I do miss it. I really do miss it. But it's something that I can live without. And I really enjoy contributing to the success of other people. In my day job, I'm a learning and development manager, training manager for a company that's pretty large and global. And I enjoy, building and designing learning programs that help people succeed in their jobs. And so that was my ultimate goal, was to make sure that we could provide just a little edge that you can take and kind of, have one over on the competition because you listened and you practiced. So I hope that this sees you well in your journey. I hope that you have just a tremendous life. And I'll leave you with this. Football will always be a part of who I am and what I do. And for the most part, I have pivoted away from the physical playing of football because my body has betrayed me. I'm an old man now. I guess 50 is not old, but some days I sure feel it. But one thing that I love is the X's and O's. And so I built with friends of mine, started a little company called Uplink Underground Games. And back in 2016, we started designing a game called Breakaway Football, a board game, card-based strategy game, specifically for people who, wanted to keep the football tradition alive, but perhaps didn't have the physical skills to continue to play, which is kind of where I had found myself by that point. And it's a tremendous game. It actually was named Game of the Year by Board Game Quest in 2021. We published in 2017, but they didn't become aware of it until 2021, at which point they said, this is great. And so we were thrilled to have the press. And we've put out 11 expansions. So, about 7 years of my life has been poured into, away from winning flag football and into Breakaway Football, which is a tremendous game. So as you age out of flag football, or as you are looking for other ways to kind of scratch that football itch, maybe it's raining outside and you can't play and you still want to do something football related. There's Madden, of course. There's all kinds of computer simulations, but there's also Breakaway Football. It's a really, really good game. So I'll leave a link in the show notes so that you can find it, but pretty much just Google Breakaway Football. It's the first 10 things that pop up. And there's a YouTube channel for Uplink Underground Games that has, at the time of this recording, probably 39 videos. Many of them are actually examples of the teams. So you know how most football games use kind of fake teams, and they might have a roster of players and you have to sort of manage people. The thing about Breakaway Football is it actually doesn't have rosters. It takes the personality of an historical team, really an iconic single season in pro football, and it extrapolates from that these modern board game mechanisms that make it compelling, easy to play, and it takes about half the time of a normal football board game. Most of them, like Stratomatic Football, takes like 3 hours plus. And you can play Breakaway Football in 90 minutes. And it also has a really robust solo mode. It's got paper-based AI for offense and for defense that's tuned to the team. And using just a couple of 6-sided dice, you get really high-quality play calls, and you can actually play the game by yourself. And it's actually a super fun experience that way. It took years to kind of put that together, and if you check out uplinkunderground.com, that's the website where our little company is, and you can read blog posts about it and kind of see the journey, that we had. It's been a great ride, and I really am thankful for all the people who reached out over the years and kind of asked for advice. There are quite a few coaches who reached out to me, and I gave them the benefit of my experience. I'm actually happy to continue to do that. So if you're listening to this and you want to throw a question at Coch Art, go out to winningflagfootball.com and use the form out there and send me an email, and let me know what you're up against, and we can set up some time to either chat, with text or by voice, or we could just go back and forth by email. But I'm actually really, really happy to kind of pitch in and help you out as far as kind of figuring out what to do to crack that nut of your team. And finally, I'll just leave you with this last note. It's been a privilege to speak with you over the last 12 years. And I know I took long breaks because I was doing other things, but it really has been a tremendous joy. And so thank you very much for listening. I appreciate that. Last thing I'll mention, Breakaway Football has a Dynasty Mode coming out, and that is probably the primary reason that I'm going to shut this show down. I really need to focus on getting that out the door. Dynasty Mode actually is like Madden for your tabletop. And what it does is it provides a way to have persistent change to Breakaway Football teams year over year. And so you can set up whole seasons with your friends and actually have this persistent legacy board game that can go on as long as you want it to. So we're really excited. It's been 6 years in the making so far, and its scheduled release is in 2024 for crowdfunding. So be on the lookout for that. Again, if you go out to Uplink Underground Games, just Google Uplink Underground Games. You'll find it, and it'll be there for you. So again, thank you very much for spending time with me. This has been Coch Art. Thanks for joining us.